In this video, I'm going to show you how to properly hold the bow and most importantly, why it's so difficult to keep the proper bow hold while you play and strategies that you can use to improve your playing and sound. I'm Sergey Panov and this is Violin Explained. I'm a lifelong educator of bowed string instruments. Make sure to follow and subscribe to learn with me. Before we discuss how to hold the bow properly, we first need to know its parts. The most important part of the bow is the bow stick, this part right here. Then comes the frog. The frog is what secures the bow hair inside of it to make sure that we can keep the tension. This pointy part is the tip. This part is the horsehair. There are about 150 to 200 individual bow hairs in each violin bow. This is called the winding. This is called the leather or the grip. This is the adjustment screw. If you turn it to the right, the bow will increase its tightness, that can be seen here. And if you turn the adjustment screw to the left, the bow will decrease its tension. If the bow is going to be resting or in its case, make sure that you loosen the bow. When you're playing, you want to tighten the bow, just so that about there's a pinky width or 1/4 inch or so between the inside of the hair in the middle of the bow and the bow stick. You don't need to go too wide. You don't want to go too tight. If you see the bow resembling a frown, that means you've gone too far. The bow should always be a smile. So no more than 1/2 inch at most, and most likely just 1/4 inch is where you're going to be. Part of the frog that's very important is what we call the ferrule or the silver. We're going to call it silver to make it easy, but this is going to be our guiding post for how to properly hold the bow. Remember, when you hold the bow, never touch the bow hair. If we get dirt or skin oil on the hair, it's not going to play and vibrate the string. We're going to hold the bow from the top with our left hand by the stick. With the right hand, we're going to make a circle with the thumb and the middle fingers, and we're going to raise our elbow. Now, very important when you're learning how to hold a bow, because the hands are up and this is really weird and uncomfortable, our shoulders will go up and that will dramatically increase the tension. Because we're going to hold the bow in such weird positions, our shoulders are going to raise and overly squeeze. Now, all tension isn't bad, but excessive tension is bad. In general, remind your shoulders to stay chill, be down, and raise your elbows. We're going to slide our circle until we get to the silver part of the bow. You want to make sure that you keep your hand nice and open. Don't close the hand. Keep it nice and open. So that circle that we're talking about is going to stay there. We're going to make a circle with our thumb and middle finger, and then we're going to slide until we get to the silver. Put the fingers over the stick and make sure your pinky is curved on the stick. Now, the pinky should never be on the adjustment screw. The pinky should be on the stick. Gently squeeze your fingertips to make sure you have a strong grip, but relax the rest of the hand. So again, you do need to hold the bow and apply some bow pressure, but do not squeeze like crazy because that's going to collapse your hand and again, ruin your good bow hold. This is what's called the beginner bow hold, or also known as the Suzuki bow hold. The thumb is at the bottom of the ferrule or the silver, the middle finger is on top of the silver, and the fingers are over the bow, over the frog, and the pinky is on top. Make sure there's a little bit of space between your pointer and your middle finger, and make sure there's a little bit of space between your ring and your pinky finger. Your thumb and your middle finger should be on the silver, just like so. You can do bow flips, and keep your hand nice and open. Don't let the hand collapse and squeeze the bow. That will ruin your bow hold and your ability to control the bow finely while you play. Now, to make a professional style bow hold, your thumb needs to go on the stick and not on the silver. When your thumb is on the stick and your middle finger is over the silver, your thumb and your middle fingers are essentially over each other, and that is very weird and unusual, and we tend to pick up our fingers up and hold on top of the stick, which is wrong. So make sure that when you transition to professional style bow hold, your middle finger is over the stick. There are a couple of ways to make a professional style bow hold. We can start with the bow hold that we already know. We'll slide our circle until the silver, put everything over the stick except the pinky, and then we're going to square our thumb and just the tip, the end of the thumb, we're going to put on the stick next to the frog, and it will look like this. Alternative way to make a professional style bow hold is to start with your thumb. You can close your hand and make a fist. Make sure that your thumb is curved and your thumb is over the other fingers. You can place your thumb on a stick next to the frog and then put your middle finger over the ferrule or the silver, put your fingers over the bow stick and your pinky on top. I just showed you two possible ways to make a professional style bow hold. Now, if you think that this isn't too hard, the difficult part is not making the bow hold, but keeping the bow hold while you play. The main reason that keeping a proper bow hold when you play is the fact that the way that we hold the bow and the way that we move the bow is really unnatural, uncomfortable, and weird. If you've seen little children learn how to walk, you'll notice that the walking is really awkward. Kids fall a lot, they really struggle, and it takes them a long time to figure out how to walk. So if you think that holding the bow properly and playing with the proper bow hold is difficult, well, everything at once was difficult. With practice and regular playing, everyone can have a great bow hold and be able to make a beautiful sound. Another reason that makes it really difficult to hold the bow properly while playing is the bow motion. So let's learn the proper bow motion without worrying how to hold the bow. You can raise your right hand, you can raise your elbow, make sure your shoulder is nice and chill. Take your wrist, bend it, and you can scratch your nose with your wrist, and then you can point your finger in front of you just like you're pointing at someone or something in front of you. So if you think scratch, you, that is the proper motion of the bow. If you think about it, we never do this outside of playing the violin, which is why it's so difficult at first for beginners. Step 1, I would recommend you just practicing holding the bow, whether beginner or professional style. Step 2, practice the bow motion without the bow. Scratch, you. Make sure you watch your elbow, that your elbow isn't drooping or is not overly at the top. Your shoulder and your elbow should be nice and chill and should be about, for the beginners, about shoulder height. Practice the bow motion where your wrist is moving toward and away from your nose or face. Step 3, practice doing different bow exercises and motion without actually playing on the violin. Hold the bow, make your bow hold, do bow flips, do scratch views. Now I'm going to show you the most common mistakes that students make when they try to hold the bow and play with the bow. Mistake number 1. Students let their hands collapse and they essentially just grab the bow with the entire arm. This is incorrect and will not allow you to properly move the bow and as well as apply the necessary bow pressure to make a beautiful sound. Mistake 2. Students let their fingers come up all the way where they're on top of the stick. This basically does not give you enough strength or control of the bow where you're not going to be able to control and make a beautiful sound. Problem 3, letting the thumb go completely through the bow like so. That will increase your hand tension and not allow you to properly bow. Mistake number 4, letting your pinky be all the way on top of the adjustment screw. That's going to make your hand really tense and not allow you to properly move it or apply the proper bow pressure to make a beautiful sound. Number 5, keeping your fingers way too close together. This will stress your hand and not allow you to have the proper control of the bow or apply the proper bow pressure to make a nice sound. Mistake number 6, having your fingers way too far apart. That is also going to stress your hand, and that extra tension will not allow you to move the bow properly or apply the necessary bow pressure to the string. And mistake number 7, holding the bow way too far from the frog. In this video, I showed you how to properly hold the bow, why it is so difficult to hold a bow properly while you play, and the most common mistakes to look out for while you learn how to play the violin. I hope you enjoyed this video, learning how to hold the bow, why it's so difficult, and what to look out for. Please like, comment, subscribe, and follow to learn with me.